Hi guys! So, I thought I'd like to talk a little bit about being, accidental author. I get invited to speak on all different kinds of topics. Sometimes it's training law enforcement, sometimes it's human trafficking, sometimes it's sharing my story, sometimes, it's about reentry because I was arrested 103 times, and so being in prison, the incarceration felony charges itself had a whole gamut of stories. But in that, I became an accidental author, and I thought I would share a little bit about that. So, when I had exited, got clean, off the streets, etc., of course, shortly after, I went blind and had to have both of my eyes medically removed. So, I had never had a job except for working at McDonald's, and I wasn't going back there without eyes. And I didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't have an education. So I had to find out, what does my world look like? Well, I got a job while I was in college. And in that job, I was working at an organization helping people with barriers for employment. And I worked there for 5 years, and the company closed down. I was running out of unemployment. And I was looking for a job, and nobody would hire me. I was back to square one. Nobody wanted to hire me because of my felonies, and nobody knew what to do with me because of my blindness. Even though I had been employed as a program supervisor, supervising 3 offices and 22 employees for 5 years. So here I was. I had started toying with the idea of writing a book under the recommendation of a reporter who had done a series of stories on my journey, but I'd never actually finished it. So my thought was, well, I have 150 friends. Maybe I ought to finish that book. If I could just get each one of them to buy a copy of my book, I could at least pay my rent every month until I found a job. I didn't think people would read it, y'all. So people not only bought it, but they read it. And then they told their friends to read it. And in 5 months, I had enough money to buy myself a trailer, which meant I couldn't be homeless. I raised $10,000 and realized people not only bought my book to support me, isn't that kind of the American dream? My felonies didn't have to be a barrier, nor did my blindness. But I also realized that I actually could write. So, my first speaking engagement, my book's been out 2 weeks, Cry Purple, my first book, right? Just trying to raise enough money so we don't become homeless. And I get a call from a community college, and they're in the English department. And she's like, hey, our English department does narrative writing styles, and we would like to copy off a couple chapters out of your book. Can we send you some legal documents for consent? And then when we're through with that, would you come and do a workshop at the college about why you chose narrative writing styles? Because you just did it so perfectly. And I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely, I would love to. What a blessing. Thank you so much. So I wrote down the dates on my computer, and I got off the phone and said thank you, and my heart was completely giddy. I'd never anticipated a call from, the English department. So what did I do? I Googled, what is narrative writing styles? I had no idea what I had done so perfectly that a college professor would want to use my stuff in 8 of their English classes. God is funny, and he will take whatever, a complete nothing, and make it into something for his glory. And for that, I am so thankful. Again, I am Christine. Sometimes I like to call myself the accidental author and entrepreneur. Cry Purple, same kind of human. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you again next Friday.